Welcome to another enlightening episode of Lengua Viva Cultural Insights, hosted by the ever-curious John Parker and the insightful Amanda Mitchell. Today's episode promises to be a captivating journey through the intricate history of our understanding of language neuroscience. Join John and Amanda as they unravel these monumental milestones in the field of language neuroscience. Remember to support Lengua Viva Cultural Insights by joining their Patreon community, where you can access exclusive comprehension exercises, vocabulary lists, infographics related to each topic, and transcripts to enhance your listening comprehension.
Ever, really listen to yourself talk?
I mean, it's got to be one of the weirdest things our brains do, right?
Yeah.
We're turning thoughts into these complex sounds, and somehow everyone else understands. It's wild.
It really is.
So today we're diving deep into how our brains process language.
And we're starting with this model, the Wernicke model.
Right. It's a classic.
Classic for a reason.
Mm.
But we've got our expert here to break it all down,
Yeah.
make sure we're not getting lost in the jargon.
Well, I'll try my best.
Yeah.
What I think is so cool about this whole thing, language, is that it feels so effortless.
Oh, yeah.
But the stuff happening under the hood in our brains, it's incredibly complicated.
Totally. So this Wernicke model, it's like a roadmap to that complicated process.
Exactly. Think of it this way. You're hearing someone speak, right?
Okay, got it.
Those sound waves, they hit your ear, and then boom, they're in your brain. Your primary auditory cortex, to be exact.
So that's step one, just getting the sounds into my head.
Exactly. But obviously there's more to it than that.
There'd better be. Otherwise, we're all just walking microphones.
Right. So this is where Wernicke's area steps in.
Wernicke's area. It rings a bell.
It's this area in the temporal lobe, and it's basically the meaning maker of your brain.
The meaning maker. I like that.
It takes those raw sounds and transforms them. It's figuring out, okay, what words are these, what sentences are being formed, and what do they all mean?
So if Wernicke's area is on the fritz, you're not understanding anything.
Pretty much. There's a condition, Wernicke's aphasia, where damage to that area, it really messes with your ability to grasp meaning.
Damage to the brain is scary.
It can be. And with Wernicke's aphasia, people can speak fluently, like grammatically correct sentences. But the words, they don't make much sense.
They just string together random words.
It's a bit more than random, but yeah, the meaning is all jumbled up.
Wow. Okay, but let's say Wernicke's area is A. Okay, we've understood what's been said to us. Then what? How do we actually reply? That's got to be a whole other process, right?
You're on the right track. This is where Broca's area comes in.
Ah, Broca's area. I knew there was another one.
It's in the frontal lobe, and if Wernicke's area is the meaning maker, Broca's area is the speech producer.
The speech producer. So it's taking our thoughts, our intended meaning, and turning it into
Words. Grammatically correct sentences, ready to be spoken.
So with Wernicke's aphasia, the words are jumbled. What happens when Broca's area is damaged?
That's Broca's aphasia. And with that, people understand language just fine,
Okay, yeah.
but they have a really hard time getting the words out.
They know what they want to say, but
But they just can't say it, or it comes out very slowly with a lot of effort.
that's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah.
I feel like we all take for granted how easily words just come out.
Right. It's incredible when you think about it.
Okay, so we've got Wernicke's area, understanding language, Broca's area, producing speech. But they're not working in isolation, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some connection.
Exactly. And in the Wernicke model, that connection is key. It suggests that information flows between these two areas.
Like a highway in the brain.
In a way, yeah. And if there's damage to that highway, to those connections, that's where we get conduction aphasia.
Conduction aphasia, another one to add to the list. What are the symptoms of that?
People with conduction aphasia, they can understand language, they can produce speech,
Sounds pretty good so far.
but they struggle with repetition. Like if you ask them to repeat a phrase, they might mix up the words or they might not be able to do it at all.
Interesting. So it's like the message is getting lost in translation, somewhere between understanding and speaking.
Exactly. It highlights how important those connections are.
This model is fascinating. But it can't be this simple, can it? Language feels so much more nuanced than just these three areas.
You're right, it is more nuanced, and that's one of the limitations of the Wernicke model.
Limitations. So what doesn't it account for?
Well, for starters, language is more than just words. We use tone of voice, body language, facial expressions.
Sarcasm. Don't forget sarcasm.
Exactly. The model doesn't really address those aspects of communication.
So it's a good starting point, but it's not the whole picture.
Right. We need a more complex understanding, and that's where newer models come in, like the dual stream model.
Dual stream model. Tell me more.
So this model suggests that there are two streams, or pathways, for processing language. One is focused on recognizing speech sounds, like identifying your friend's voice in a crowded room.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the other stream?
The other one maps those sounds to articulation. Basically, it's how we learn to speak, how we map the sounds we hear to the movements of our own mouths.
So two streams working together, constantly interacting. It's starting to feel even more complex.
It is complex, but that's the beauty of the brain, isn't it?
I guess so. Though part of me wishes it was as simple as the Wernicke-Geschwind model. But this has been fascinating. We've gone from basic sound processing to these intricate pathways in the brain, all in the name of understanding language.
It's amazing how much is going on under the surface, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, if our brains are this complex in processing language, what other mysteries are hidden in there? Like, how do our emotions, our memories, even our personalities, how do those all tie into the way we understand and use language?
Now, those are questions we could spend a whole other deep dive exploring.
Maybe we will. But for now, thanks for joining us as we explore the incredible world of language processing in the brain.
Until next time.
Words that flow like rivers do. Learn a language, join the crew. Every lesson something new. Lengua Viva here for you.
Grammar rules and vocab tight. Practice every day and night. Conversations feeling right. Change your world with words so bright.
Lengua Viva, take a chance.